Let me give you another question real quick. So we're seeing significant changes in education today. We've talked about some of those things, at least in general terms. Now, technology has been the new frontier. It's ever changing and it's opening amazing opportunities. But there are other significant frontiers being explored in philosophy and in the social sciences that are having controversial impacts on our culture and on politics. And let me just say here, I believe that politics is always downwind from the culture. It always follows. It always responds to what's going on in our culture. So when we say culture and politics, it doesn't mean that we're trying to focus on those things, but one always has a reciprocal effect on the other. But would you speak to some of these trends, and are they bringing progress and enlightenment to our society, or are they part of the new cancel culture movement?
Well, I think, first of all, technology is being used greatly to be part of the cancel culture. If someone doesn't agree with your idea, you can have 2 million hits against you in a very short time. Mm-hmm. And you can be looked at as a bad person, even though you didn't mean or say the thing that was portrayed. Mm-hmm. I recently had a person take a sermon that I spoke here in chapel at the university and took one phrase and used it to say I was a racist. And the entire university rose up because it was wrong and everybody knew it because they took it totally out of context. But that's the kind of thing that technology allows. Yeah. And so it's not a good trend for those types of things with regard to cancel culture. At the same time, I'm a huge fan of technology for spreading great education processes, because when you think about education, if you studied your master's, your doctorate, you've studied education, you understand that you've got to have curriculum, you've got to have faculty, and you've got to have peer-to-peer interaction. Right. And for so long, we thought the best way to do that was to be just standing up in front of class and just regurgitating all this knowledge that we had out to students. We've now found out that that's the lowest form of learning. Right. So technology allows you to interact and to assess immediately. It allows peers to interact and assess immediately. So as far as learning process, I'm a huge fan of education. Now, for some people, it doesn't work. My son will never, ever take online classes if he can help it. He hates them. But then my other son, the oldest son, that's all he wants to take. He's done his degrees that way. Yeah. So I think, it comes down to individual as with regard to what technology is doing. Now, with regard to social and political issues driving toward cancel culture, I have this hope that Americans can swing back. I'm an optimist. Been through 3 wrecks, cancer, and almost died, and those things. And I still am very optimistic about life. And I just sense that everyone's getting tired of the social and political nonsense, and that's what I'm going to call it, that's going on. Do we have real issues? We have real issues. Yes. But as my good friend in the Urban League told me yesterday, he's president of the Urban League here in South Carolina, and he came to me and he said, Mark, we are nearing a point where we're going to have to go for unity, not division. Yeah. And right now, the media in particular is driving the division as much as anyone I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. And that drives the politics, because you have 3% of the population trying to drive an agenda. And that will not work long term. There's going to be an uprising. There's going to be a rebellion. There's going to be a response. I don't like the word rebellion, but there will be a rebellion to that kind of thing that's going on. And I don't know where and when, but there will be. And that will drive, supposedly that'll have some impact on politics, but it will only have impact on politics if good people get involved and say enough's enough. Right. And that's what I would challenge us all to do. Some of the trends with regard to cancel culture are not good. Yeah. And some of the movements are not good. And if you want to be real honest, I go back to a philosophy. We really are in this huge debate educationally and worldwide, and really in America, of whether we are going to move to a socialistic form versus a capitalistic form of government. When you hear the words equity and equality being used all the time, you have to start saying, well, there's some red flags, because that means somebody's liberty is being taken away.
Mhm.
So when Melvin Adams works hard, Melvin Adams does not get the reward for it. And when you go into a class and you start explaining that to students, which we're doing at this university, they don't want everybody to have a C. They want their A.
Yeah.
They want the person who didn't work to get an F. So there will be a flashback on this that I believe will have impact, and we'll see somewhat of a swing in time back. That's my hope, at least.